Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
This is Soy Trek.
Yeah.
I'm Comrade Britt.
I'm Cumrag Pat.
Cumrag Pat. Doing the dirty work so you don't have to.
I don't want to do your dirty work
no more. Love Steely Dan, dog. Fucking love Steely Dan. You have no idea. I have their entire collection on vinyl. I've seen them 3 times in concert. One time was Asia, the entire album all the way through, plus greatest hits, the second set, while Walter Becker was still alive. You have no fucking idea.
That's why I'm shocked you don't have a Steely Dan podcast.
That is kind of shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
They made a joke about it in AP Bio. And so I never did it.
Oh,
because
it was always at the forefront of your brain.
Patton Oswalt's character in there says he has a Steely Dan podcast where every time they break down a different Steely Dan song, and I'm like, fuck, that was my idea. Damn it. Yeah, they just made a joke about it and ruined my idea.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt's not even doing that in real life.
I know, he should. I would listen to that in a second.
Yeah.
I like Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, you know,
his comedy's fallen off a little bit. He's not quite as funny as he used to be, but he's done some amazing bits, amazing hours. I was actually there for his the taping of his first comedy special after his wife passed.
Oh wow!
At the Moore Theater here in Seattle. I might be able to be seen in some of those shots.
Damn, you should reach out to him and be like, so do you want to do that Steely Dan podcast for reals?
I'm just some guy.
I'm just some guy, but I know a lot about Steely Dan.
Yeah, I certainly do.
So they could.
I certainly Dan.
Good bond over the mutual love of Steely Dan.
I think it was a line that was written for him. I don't think he loves Steely Dan quite as much as I do.
Oh, maybe you could reach out to the writer. Maybe the writer will be more receptive to that idea.
Perhaps. So, you know what's cool? Our Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
It's at patreon.com/dumbidiotbs. It's a great place where you can sign up and support us in all kinds of different ways. You get all types of benefits. The biggest, probably, for most people is you get all our episodes of all of our podcasts all at once, a few days before they all come out. And in some cases, especially with like Prison Breakdown, sometimes several weeks before they come out. You know, we got a bunch of podcasts on the network. We got Soy Trek. We got Dumb Idiot BS. We have the Media Dungeon. We have Getting Head, a Bucket Cast. We've got the Prison Breakdown podcast. And coming soon, we got a new podcast. I'm putting together a podcast called My Wife.
My wife.
I just go through sub-communities on the internet and look up and just search, like on the sub-community, the word wife. And then just get all of the best information of people like talking about how their wives hate their hobby, how they might hate their wives because of their hobby or their special interest. You know, maybe their wife loves their hobby and supports them in a funny way.
Good.
Yeah, lots of fodder there.
Yeah. Street cross-dressers.
Oh, definitely. That's a good one. That's a good one for sure.
An interesting wife one.
Yeah, like, exactly. There's a lot of fodder.
Because you have the most famous one, Ed Wood.
Oh, yeah.
Wife guy, cross-dresser.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like most cross-dressers are wife guys.
Yeah, because they literally want to be their wife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they say, if you can't be them, marry them.
Yeah.
So, folks on our Patreon, for as little as $2 a month, actually as little as free, but if you want to pay $2 a month, you can support us and say thank you. For as little as $5 a month, we'll say thank you to people on this podcast, to people just like Electric Baphomet, Joe DeVideo, John Simcox, Elizabeth Hearn, Nick Savard, Nova, Shane Sawyer, Skeptic, Abigail Simpson, Asher Pliskin, Benjamin Van Galen, Big Strong Boy, Gabe Siciliano, Gillian McCrary, Iggy, James Hartman, Jose Martinez, Kyle Simmons, Laura Flame, Papa Poison, PJ Hale, Robert Yolito, Roberto Molina, Seb, 7 of 9, SFC Punk, Shane Williams, Tim Wilkinson, Awful Star Trek Drawings, Jordan Hale, David Craning Sights, Dylan Lance, Ethan Adams, Gursky, Jormore, Sam Mayo, and our good friends over at the Bruce Campbell Podcast, which is also the same guys over at Animorphin Time Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Which is a great podcast about Animorphs that you should definitely check out.
I was always thinking about reading all the Animorphs books. I should.
Should you?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, not J.K. Rowling. Fucking the author of those books is like pro-trans and shit, and she's cool as fuck.
Nice. Hells yeah.
We love that. So, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I just read the Redwall books when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Goosebumps, I guess. So.
Yeah, Red Walls was like, that's what I call it when she's on her period. And them red walls, baby.
Oh, my God. These are talking mice.
You got mice up in your pussy, baby. Damn, girl, that pussy's tight. You got mice up in there. Yeah, that's reasonable.
That's reasonable.
That's totally reasonable. Guess what we're here to talk about today?
Threshold.
We're talking about the Voyager episode Threshold, which is like an infamous fucking episode. Like,
yeah.
It is reputed to be, in a lot of lists, like the worst episode of Voyager and the worst episode of maybe Star Trek ever.
And that's the thing, like, I felt it could have been a successful episode had it not been for the end.
The end is wild.
Yeah, there's like a obvious place it should have gone. Mm-hmm. Instead it takes this like left turn into like the most insane shit you've ever seen.
Right. Yeah. So I want to start with a quote from Brandon Braga.
Oh.
Who wrote this episode.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm. I wrote the episode, or at least the teleplay, and it had some good intention behind it. It had a good premise, breaking the Warp 10 barrier. I don't know where this whole de-evolving into a lizard thing came from. I think I was trying to make a statement about evolution not necessarily being evolving towards higher organisms, that evolution may also be de-evolution. You know, we kind of take it for granted that evolution means bigger brains, more technology, more refined civilization, when in fact, for all we know, we're evolving back into a more primordial state. Ultimately, who can predict? Yeah, and wait. He also said, ultimately, it was my homage, I guess, to David Cronenberg's The Fly.
Okay. I can see that.
But that doesn't make it good.
But also it doesn't make sense because the de-evolution thing. I mean, it's only apparent by visually looking at the lizard, but like at several times they say like he has like a bigger brain or something, like he's becoming more evolved, and so then when you see him, it's very underwhelming,
right?
Because it's like this is like the peak of human evolution,
right? Which, I mean, it doesn't make any sense really on any level.
No,
and I guess we'll get more into that as we actually talk about the episode. But.
Yeah, because and that's the thing. Like, it would have been nice to have a higher evolution to a higher being. That's very apparent because we already had like a de-evolution in TNG where everyone on this ship de-evolves. Mm-hmm. And, we have Caveman Riker. We
love
have
Caveman Riker.
Caveman Riker rules.
Caveman Riker lays some crazy dick.
Oh yeah.
Like, he gets into that primal shit.
That episode was fun, and that was clear that there was a de-evolution in process. I mean, they say it. But in this, we have, like, oh, this is the higher state of human existence, and it doesn't translate to screen at all.
No.
And, yeah, and there's... It gets bad.
It does. So...
Yeah.
So let's just get into this.
Let's get into it.
So Star Trek Voyager, episode Threshold, season 2, episode 15. It first aired January 29th, 1996. It is the 31st overall episode of Voyager. Its teleplay is by Brandon Braga, who is a Star Trek legend, co-creator of Enterprise, writer on TNG, Voyager, and Enterprise, notably not DS9 ever. And co-writer of Mission Impossible 2, which is not a good movie.
No.
He also co-wrote First Contact and Generations. He also wrote 16 episodes of 24, the series.
Never watched 24.
Yeah. He co-created the series Salem and The End Is Nigh with Bill Nye, and wrote 7 episodes of The Orville most recently. We have a story here by Michael DeLuca, who is a producer, and I think was like the head of New Line Cinema at the time. And he produced such films as The Mask, Lost in Space, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Magnolia, Rush Hour 2, and I Am Sam. Interesting bunch of films there. And it was directed by Alexander Singer, who directed 22 episodes of Star Trek overall, including TNG Ship in a Bottle and Descent, DS9's The Adversary, and Hard Time.
Oh, nice.
Which is a good one. And Voyager's Tattoo.
Oh, no.
And Worst Case Scenario. So this guy did like all of the worst episodes of Voyager, objectively. Some fucking stinkers.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at his entire resume and I'm like, I don't really love any episode in his entire... even like the DS9 episodes he did, I didn't love.
Yeah.
Hard Time I did. Like,
Hard Time.
I do like. Yeah. So maybe Hard Time, but pretty much
Hard Time's a concept I used for a D&D campaign once. I like it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Prison.
Mind prison.
Let's jump right in, baby. Yeah. We open on Tom Paris piloting a shuttlecraft. He's up to Warp 7 when we join him. On the other end, B'Elanna gives him instructions as he engages the trans warp drive. And I'm like, yo, are you telling me this entire warp drive is trans? Because that's sick as fuck. I'll suck her dick. So
that'd be funny if it had like trans flag as like the trail that leads behind the nacelles.
That'd be sick as fuck. So he goes past warp 9.6, 9.7, 9.9, 9.95, and he approaches the threshold of warp 10 as he begins to break up and his ship breaches. Tom Paris is dead.
Yep.
On the holodeck, at least. It's revealed he was in a simulation with Taurus and Harry Kim watching. Paris is disappointed and wipes his mouth for some reason, probably cum on his lips. Opening credits, 1 minute and 20 seconds. Very weak cold open. Gives no clue to what's going to happen in the episode and doesn't set it up particularly well, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got the sense like, okay, they're working on the warp 10 threshold.
I guess.
Yeah.
Not great. So when we return, Harry, Paris, and Taurus are reviewing their simulation, and apparently the pylon keeps buckling and ruining everything. Harry makes a suggestion as Neelis comes over. He serves some coffee and offers his help. Paris sarcastically asks if he knows anything about quantum warp theory, and Neelix says he's a quick study and sits down.
Yeah, they're always so dismissive of him.
They should be. Taurus asks if he has anything to eat, and Neelix says there's some stuff in the kitchen, so Taurus goes to find them herself. He's a terrible host as well. Harry tries to dissuade Neelix, but he's insistent that he can handle quantum warp theory. Paris relents and tells him they're trying to go warp 10, which is infinite velocity, meaning you're all places at all times. Time and distance would have no meaning, and the Voyager could be home in a snap if they had it. Neelix offers a tale of one of his previous adventures and makes Paris think about some solutions. Harry agrees, and they come up with some technobabble solution. Paris hugs Neelix and calls him a genius, which I think is the beginning of his mental decline in this episode.
Neelix offered a solution, whether he was aware of it or not.
He did. He just told a stupid story, and it sucked. I don't know. So, back on the holodeck, Paris is testing out their new theory, and everything goes according to plan. Warp 10 is achieved in their simulation, at least.
Which is it's so funny. Like he does the impossible, and I guess that's like part of like one reason why this episode is infamous is because like it's this impossible barrier that like. Because, I mean, back on the Federation, back on Earth and other testing places, they obviously have their best minds, like tackling that very same problem.
Right.
Like, crossing that threshold to Warp 10. And the person that does it is the Flyboy.
Right.
You know?
The fucking Maquis traitor who has been a Starfleet officer for a season and a half at this point. Approximately, like 14 months in season.
Yeah, and he just cracks it like second try to us, and it's just like, I mean, it's obviously like, okay, well, they need to do this for the rest of the episode to happen, but it's just like, it feels like, I don't know, maybe this should have been like something that would have been worked on throughout the season.
Right, and honestly, like, it should have been something like to reinforce like how genius maybe like Taurus is or something like that. Like, it shouldn't have been like the pilot who figured out how to go warp 10.
Yeah, it definitely did get the sense of like I mean, we had Harry, Torres, and Paris working on it, but it definitely felt more like Paris was leading the entire research thing, and I felt that this was.
And I think Taurus outranks him at this point, right?
Yeah, it would have been.
I think she's a lieutenant and he's a junior lieutenant.
Yeah,
sure.
it would have been good to have like Taurus lead this as an engineer or something, or even like they could have like. I feel like this is one thing that like Voyager didn't do a lot is like have a lot of like new perspectives from aliens in the Delta Quadrant that they've never encountered before, who have different technology, and like this would have been an interesting episode to have like an alien come and help.
It would have,
because then they would have gotten the perspective of like a potentially like more evolved or more technologically advanced species that would help them do this, and because it seems like. I mean, this is like what 10 minutes into the episode, and we have warp 10. we have beyond warp 10.
I mean, it's the crux of the like episode, I guess. So
yeah,
it kind of makes sense in a way.
Yeah.
So in a conference room, Janeway congratulates the team on achieving warp 10 in simulation. Taurus asks if they can do manned tests. Janeway asks what their flight plan is, and Paris says the minute he crosses the threshold of transwarp, he'll cut power. Then they can check the sensor logs and learn how to adapt the technology to the Voyager. Chakotay asks if they're ready. Janeway muses that in previous centuries, they've always used technology wisely. Okay, Janeway. What the fuck is this? Maybe in the last 2 centuries or so, like according to the Federation, whatever, but humans have a historical way of appropriating technologies to crush civilizations that lack such technologies. Think of guns, think of biological warfare.
We literally just had a movie about this subject, Oppenheimer.
Think about steel, oil, nuclear arms. Janeway is either like super ignorant of history, or maybe it's just Brandon Braga.
It's basically ignoring. Like that's the thing. Like especially now. Oh my God! Like we have very few technological advancements that actually further, the betterment of the human species and more of like to destroy people.
No, it's all we focus on now is like maximizing profits and destroying people.
Yeah,
oftentimes which go part and parcel.
Yeah. Maybe Janeway's just being very optimistic.
Maybe it's just Brandon Braga.
I mean, this is like what 23 something.
2370 something, yeah.
Yeah, so I could see maybe last 200 years.
2373, I want to say.
So I mean, this is she's referencing. She's not going back to now in our time. So
yeah, because I know at least 2374 is when the species 8274 thing happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's next season for here. So. Excuse me. Janeway says there's no way to put the genie back in the bottle, which makes me wonder why there's no Warp 10 in Starfleet 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Or in any other Star Trek at all.
The Paris just forgot about it.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, I did this thing.
Everyone forgot about it.
I did this thing that's impossible.
Fucking revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like, that would, like, literally, like, bring us back home in a second, but we needed to forget about it.
Yeah, and even though, this was a failure, ultimately, doesn't mean, like, can't be revisited and
I know,
keep
like,
people from becoming lizards in
exactly.
the future.
They just need to, like, put a fucking warp field around them while they're, in warp 10, I guess, or something.
Yeah, do something. But something that, like, more people should have eyes on, not just, like, the Flyboy comes up with it and then just, like, scraps it and then never talks about it again.
Yeah, they're like, well, I made him a lizard man, so that's it.
Yeah.
Can't do it ever again. So Paris is lounging in his room in his robe when Janeway comes in, and it looks like a real nice robe.
Yeah, this is some foreshadowing to their bow chicka wow wow.
Oh.
Coming in, he's in his bathrobe.
So Janeway says she spoke to the doctor, and it's under his opinion that they let Harry Kim do the test flight, and Paris is crushed. She says it's because Paris's biometric readings show a slight imbalance that might change him when he crosses the threshold, and he might get a brain hemorrhage. There's a 2% chance of it. And Paris is like, damn the chances! I'll take the chance! And since he wants to do the flight and get all the glory for his time in trouble.
But you know what's also very bizarre is, like, we have right now they have probes. You can program a probe to do things.
That's true. They could.
And so they didn't think to automate this first attempt.
No.
Like they're just like going straight to human trials.
Yep.
Like, which is like, in our first forays in the space fight, we sent dogs and monkeys up there and just like to see how they would survive. And it would make sense to have it like an automated type thing and have some sort of like, and maybe not, we don't have to put like, now the Federation's more evolved.
Right.
But they can put like some sort of like biological matter on there.
Right. I mean,
and see how
put
it
something,
changes.
yeah, just like slightly less than human, but still like Robert Beltran.
Like Paris comes up from behind him with an ether soaked rag and then makes him pass out, and he wakes up tied to a chair and like it's about to go warp 10. He's like, no. Yeah, like they should have put Robert Beltran on there. Yeah, or just something like, I'm sure they have like some sort of like biological cube or something of matter that could see how it's treated. But, that's just me. I wouldn't jump to human trials right away.
Yeah, but you're not Elon Musk.
I'm not Elon Musk, yeah.
Tom says that everyone used to say Tom Paris would do something important when he grew up, and he wants to live up to that. Like, what the fuck, dude? That's just a weird thing. Yeah. Paris insists, and Janeway
and I think they should have said,
it.
like, Tom, I think it should have came it from a different perspective, where everyone was telling Tom Paris that he was going to fuck up.
Yeah,
like
true. That's true. He's like, I don't want to live that up. Like,
yeah, because that's the thing. He's smart, but he's also
he's a huge fuck up.
He's a huge fuck up.
Like, Janeway took him out of a prison colony for trading with the Maquis.
Yeah,
he's
definitely done some shady shit in his past, and he does have this perspective of himself. Other people have this perspective of him that is sort of like, that he's kind of a criminal, he's kind of roguish, and so it would make sense that he was like, no, this is something that will help redeem me, that will change how people perceive me in the future. Like, this is why it's so important, instead of like, I need to do this because I was told I was going to do great things. Like, no, you weren't. Like, everyone hates you.
So back on the bridge, Paris takes off in the shuttle and Voyager follows him. Engineering checks his status and clears him for transwarp drive. The shuttle exceeds maximum velocity and approaches the threshold. Velocity achieved. Warp motherfucking 10. First time ever. Suddenly Paris's comms go funny as he disappears off the sensors. He's fucking gone. He suddenly comes back, shuttle and all, with weak life signs, and he's transported to sickbay immediately. In sickbay, EMH doctor says he's mostly normal, just asleep, and wakes him up with a start. And it's great. Janeway's like, can you wake him up? And he's like, sure. And then he just leans down to his ear. He's like, wake up, Mr. Paris! Just yells it in his ear. It's so good.
I love EMH.
Yeah, me too. So Tom says he remembers what happened. He was staring at the velocity indicator, and he suddenly realized that he was watching himself, that he could see everything. For a moment, he was everywhere. He says he can't explain because it wasn't like anything else. He says he got back to Voyager. The way he got back to Voyager was looking he knew Voyager was looking for him, so he took the engines offline and just ended up back where he started. So
he's basically controlling where he went with thought.
Kind of,
like,
yeah.
He's like, he kind of like, which is like something like he entered a higher state of existence, like,
right.
And it's just like, oh, that happened. Cool.
Yeah, and it's weird. He wasn't like, I was everywhere at once, but mostly I was in Cass's pussy.
Yeah. But you think, like, if that was, if he could have done that shows that he could have gone to Earth real quick.
Right, exactly.
And
it's strange that they know that this shuttle can do that, and like he didn't just like transport himself back to Earth and be like done with it. Well, later, losers.
or just be like, help, we're all lost in space. Like, we need some help. I'll take you guys there right now, and then brings a bunch of people back. But then there's just a bunch of lizards in the. They don't know what happened.
Yeah. So suddenly Torres comes in and is very concerned, but the shuttle made it back without a scratch. Paris has just made the history books.
Wow. Let's never talk about it ever again.
Never. So they look at the shuttle logs, and as expected, they have sensor readings on everything. Over 5 billion gigaquads of information. Janeway says the telemetry gives them boundless knowledge, and they could use the readings for an untold number of things.
Yeah. Again, this is something that should have been an automated flight. There should have been like cameras, like sensors.
They just have the sensors. That's all they need.
Yeah, and just like figure out like what the experience is like, and if a human being can survive it.
But at the same time, like they would have lost it because no one was there to cut the engines.
That's true. But they could have had like a drinky bird. just go down and hit the stop button.
I like that. Just something like water based.
Yeah.
So in the mess hall, Neelix has made a new coffee blend named after Tom Paris.
He calls it like Paris or something.
Paris Delight or some shit like that. So Taurus, which isn't great because like Paris is like a place no one's gonna know it's named after Tom Paris. Yeah, that's like one of the most important cities in the entire Federation.
Neelix doesn't know what Paris is.
Paris, he's a fucking dumbass. So Taurus says that Paris should get used to the hero status. Apparently the coffee is bad, and Paris complains.
That would be funny if they did give Tom Paris some accommodation. And he just wore it throughout the rest of the series.
Right.
Like just some little medal that's on it.
And he just like whenever anyone disagrees with him, he just looks it down in his medal and looks back at them.
Did you discover Warp 10? No.
Yeah, that's right, loser. You can fuck off. I don't care about your opinion. I'm using this urinal even if you're using it.
I went through the threshold, and now that's why I can do this.
Yeah, that's why I can touch your penis at the urinal.
Just move you slightly out of the way so I can use it.
So suddenly Paris feels unwell and thinks it's the coffee. Then he gets a headache and falls over, veins bursting out of his head. The makeup's pretty good here.
Yeah.
Taurus calls to have him beamed to medical, but they can't lock onto his signature. So she calls medical crew to come get him. In medbay, the doctor says Paris is having an allergic reaction of sorts. Taurus says he drank Neelix's coffee, and the doctor says it's a miracle he's still alive, which is some great levity, like the only levity in the episode, and like really fun, actually.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
It's just funny, and it's also especially funny because the doctor can't even try Neelix's cooking.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even know what taste is, and he's still clowning on him, and it's great.
He's still hating on Neelix.
Yeah, I love that. So the doctor says he's having an allergic reaction to the water in the coffee. Suddenly, Paris's body starts to change as Paris gasps for breath and his lungs mutate. He's no longer processing oxygen. The doctor erects an isolation chamber and puts more nitrogen in there, which allows Paris to breathe for now. Paris cries out in pain. His cellular membranes are deteriorating, and he's dying. The doctor demands more information on the shuttle flights. Uh-oh, something's going bad here, man.
Something's going bad.
Something's going real bad. Later in medbay, Paris is doing poorly and asks if he's dying. The doctor calls him too stubborn to die. We learn that Paris's middle name is Eugene. Cool. The doctor tries some technobabble treatments. Paris says everyone but Taurus will cry when he's dead and asks if the doctor will. but he says it's not in his programming, which is pretty cold, man. Paris remembers all the times as a kid he would cry alone in his room, saying he lost his virginity in that room. And the doctor says, "Oh, I'll be sure to add that to your file."
Yeah, I wonder if that is something that's just generally put in their files. Lost virginity at 17.
I hope so. It's important information. Suddenly, Paris's lymphatic system begins to collapse, and they pump him full of stuff. Paris asks for a kiss from Kes, but she can't remove the atmosphere or else he'll die.
Damn, and then she's still Neelix's girl. And
I know.
Still, like, he's still trying to...
She's still willing, though. She's like, yeah, I mean, you're
she considers
a lot
it for,
better than Neelix.
You see it, she considers it for a moment. She's like...
I mean, how about a quick blowy? So he asked the doctor to call Starfleet and tell his dad that he did it, like warp 10 when he dies. So suddenly Paris goes critical and they activate a neurosimulator. Nothing. He's fucking dead. The doctor deactivates the force field as they mourn Paris. The doctor says they will perform an autopsy in the morning and suggests Kes get some rest. She leans over and kisses Paris on the cheek. Oh, he got him some. He got him a little bit.
And then the clay Paris did end up having sex with Kes.
True.
Yeah.
So alone in an office, the doctor senses something. He gets up from his chair and walks into medbay. He lifts the sheet covering Paris, and he's alive again.
How? Who knows?
Who cares? He scratches his head and his hair falls off. He asks what's happening, and the doctor doesn't know. He says all of his internal organs are functioning again, but he seems to have an extra one. 2 hearts.
This is where it basically becomes Crimes of the Future.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually going to point out this is just like Crimes of the Future,
except it's not a sexual experience to get surgery.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, surgery is the new sex.
Do you think David Cronenberg? Because we know that David Cronenberg is a fan of Star Trek.
He's in Star Trek. He's literally in Star Trek Discovery. He's an actor. He definitely has seen this and been like, okay, I'm taking that.
Yeah, I'm going to make a weird sex thing about surgery and extra organs.
Hell yeah, definitely.
30 years from now.
Yep. So in his quarters, crewman Michael Jonas sends the Kazon all the information on the Warp 10 flight. The Kazon is in disbelief, so Jonas gives him the information to prove it himself. Which is weird. I don't think they ever revisit this ever.
I think maybe.
Do they? I don't know if it sets it up for a big thing, but
also it's like the Kazon were set up for a big thing, and the Kazon were just so
side-wiped after the Borg came in.
They were so juiceless. They were the most juiceless villainous.
They didn't have any fucking riz, dude. They were like Borgs, or not Borg. They were like Klingons with micropenises.
They were like big. Yeah, Oompa Loompas.
Yeah,
with kale for heads.
Yeah,
with kale for hair, and it was just like they did not ever really establish them as a genuine like threat. Yeah, and so I think that's why they had to be like, fuck, the Kazon aren't hitting. We need the Borg.
So in medbay, the doctor explains that Paris is mutating and his DNA is rewriting itself, and he can't reverse it. Even his brain is changing almost every second, but he recognizes himself, the ship, the crew, and his duty. But he's becoming something else.
Uh-oh.
Janeway enters medbay and Paris is all fucked up, skin and veins everywhere. He looks like a big old penis.
Yeah, his skin is hanging off the back of his head.
Yeah, his foreskin is all chapped and disgusting.
And this is where I was like, I definitely got some Elephant Man vibes.
A little, yeah, you're not wrong.
Because like I was just like, you know what?
The Fly.
Yeah, the fly.
It makes more sense as the Fly. I think, yeah.
But like I was kind of wondering if like maybe this is his like, you know, his going to be added to his reel if he ever were to do like a Elephant Man one-man show or something.
No, thank you. Yeah, I don't.
Robert Duncan McNeil is the Elephant Man.
I don't think he wants to do that, and I don't think we want him to do that either. So Janeway enters medbay, and Paris is all fucked up, skin and veins, looking like a penis. He says he feels like a lab experiment gone wrong.
He also kind of looks like the future person from Enterprise, you know, when he gets when he becomes like half baby, half old man.
Yeah. The baby man. Janeway says they're trying to reconstruct Paris, and he wonders why, since what he's becoming is likely better than Tom Paris. Anything's better than Tom Paris.
Yeah, Tom Paris is so self-deprecating.
Yeah. So Janeway says they're trying to help, but he insists that this might be the best thing that ever happened to him, and he doesn't want to be changed back. He accuses Janeway and the crew of being liars and thinks Tom Paris is unwanted. He wants her to admit she's jealous, and she wants Paris to die.
And this also goes back to the point we were making earlier. Just like he should have been saying, like, you know, I'm a fuck up. This is my chance to not be a fuck up.
Right, right.
And so then that would make this whole speech make more sense. Like, you know, like, you know, I'm becoming something better. I'm becoming something that's not the fuck up.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I don't feel like a fuck up anymore. And because I'm becoming something greater, but because he's, you know, he's fucking delusioned right now and insane. So, but he still has that sort of like opinion of himself that he needs to become better or prove himself in some way.
Yeah. So Paris apologizes and reveals himself to have bipolar.
Yeah.
So, Janeway insists that they're doing everything they can to help him. He says he knows and then tries to attack her, but he's held in by a force field. He tells Janeway she seems so small and insignificant, but then his tongue comes out and he can't really talk anymore. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a great clapback. It's like, you seem so small and insignificant, and then your fucking tongue falls out.
I retract my statement.
Oh fuck.
Well, I got. I lose.
So later in medbay, Kes reports that Paris's genetic mutation is increasing in speed. Paris calls out and says he needs to talk urgently. He tells Kes and the doctor to get him out of there, and he begs. He says he needs to get off the ship. He now understands what he must do. The present and the past are both the future, and the future is in the past.
Yeah. He's not making any sense.
No. He says he is more, that he's everything. He's talking like, you know, the guy who's had a few too many, malt liquors on the street.
And that's why, like, from this point, and that's why they ever should have made him more evolved person. Like, we had, like, you know, I think at one point Barclay become a more evolved person, you know, and like he did that, you know, the holodeck thing. Right. And I think, and that's where it felt it was going, because, like, yeah, it seems like, you know, Paris understands like time and space in a completely different, on a completely different level than any other person on the planet. Like, he is a more evolved person. Like his brain's too big, and he's seen shit and he understands shit.
He's some galaxy brain shit. He's like some people on Twitter, like they're just too big brained to be anywhere.
Too big brained.
And
instead, like, we get this other route, which is like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why this would happen?
So Paris begs them to let him go, and Kes asks where, and he continues to beg. In the conference room, Janeway, Torres, and Chakotay listen to a message from the doctor about his treatment plan for Paris. He says he wants to destroy all the new DNA and let the body rebuild itself, but they need to use the warp core to do so. They agree, but they don't have enough time. They must do it within the hour. And Janeway tells them to get fucking moving. So Paris is now in medbay, and he's fully a fucking lizard man. Yeah.
He kind of looks like a weird flesh-colored frog.
Yeah, that's about right. I don't know exactly what to compare him to, but yeah, he's very fleshy, very scaly, very lizardy.
Which apparently they did make a toy of this version.
Really?
Of Tom Paris. Yeah.
I want to put that in the cum jar. Put the threshold man in the cum jar.
The lizard's got to be in his swamp. The cum swamp.
Cool. So Paris is fully a lizard man. Torres tells the doctor they're ready to go and fuse Paris with antimatter bursts. Paris, restless, tries to escape from the medbay. Kes reports the antimatter bursts are not working. Suddenly, Paris escapes from the bed and fights off security.
It's kind of weird they didn't sedate him for this.
It is strange.
Because like, already they've established that he has an aggression issue. And like the fact that he has to be under constant force field to keep from tearing people apart.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay, well, and that's why, like, they're, you know, Taurus originally gave an estimate like, I need 3 hours to prepare for this, and they're like, no, we need to do it now. It's like, so if there's like this rush to do it, like you want to make sure everything goes without any sort of like any kind of hitch. So you want to fucking sedate this motherfucker, keep him passed out, so he doesn't do anything crazy and fuck everything up. Yeah. That's just me, though. You know.
Warp 8, 9, 10 to go. I wanna be sedated. Lizard man about to blow. I wanna be sedated. Yeah, they should sedate him for sure. Yeah. Paris fights off security, and Tuvok raises a security alert. Mm-hmm. So everyone's looking for him now. Walking through the hallway, Chakotay gives Janeway an update on Paris, and they can't find him. Janeway steps into a turbo lift, but Paris is right behind her and knocks her out. They track this based on the phaser fire from the bridge, and Chakotay sends a security team after them. Back with Paris, he lays Janeway down on the floor of a shuttle. Harry Kim reports a shuttle taking off. The shuttle leaves and goes into warp, and Voyager follows soon after. Both ships near maximum velocity, while the shuttle takes off ahead of Voyager. Chakotay is forced to slow down as the shuttle goes into transwarp. On the shuttle, Janeway observes going into transwarp. Next, we get a first officer's log from Chakotay. First officer's log, stardate 49373.4. It's taken us 3 days to locate the shuttle. It appears to have dropped out of transwarp in an uninhabited star system. In medbay, the doctor says he thinks he can finally understand what happened to Paris. The mutations are in fact natural, a sort of evolution in line with humans discovering transwarp. The only difference between natural evolution and Paris's change is that it happened in a day rather than a millennia. Suddenly, Harry Kim calls and says they found the shuttlecraft on an uninhabited planet. Chakotay, Tuvok, and a security team head down. On the planet. On the planet are two giant lizards. Janeway and Paris. The lizard version.
The lizard version, which, okay.
This is where they could have gone a lot of ways with this episode from this point, and this is where it goes fully off the fucking rails.
Off the fucking rails, where it's just it to the point where it completely deflates the discovery of warp 10.
Yeah.
And it's just okay, so that's what happens. You become a lizard.
Right. And it makes them have to sweep warp 10 under the rug, so it's no longer a good explanation or a way for them to get home.
Yeah.
Which is strange because the Borg use transwarp conduits all the time, and they don't evolve into lizard Borg, I don't think.
No.
I don't know.
Or they have technology to protect them from becoming lizard Borg.
I guess so.
And it's almost comical when they find them.
Yeah.
Because
no, it's not almost comical. It's fucking hilarious. It's unintentionally one of the funniest moments in all of Star Trek, especially if you've seen the episode before.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, here it fucking comes.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh my God. Why? Oh my God. Why did they do this?
Because, these supposedly hyper evolved versions of humanity are completely helpless. They're just floundering around on a beach doing weird animal shit.
But according to Brandon Braga, maybe evolution is really de-evolution.
How? Explain it. They look like what are those things called? Axolotls?
Yeah.
Because they have that. They have those sort of weird little branches coming from their faces, and they have no back legs. They're just stumps.
Right.
And they have these little flippers. They've apparently we lose our thumbs in this other.
We use the ability to use tools. It's devolving. We go back to lizard people once we reach transwarp, because at that point, what's the point of having a brain big enough to understand transwarp if you're gonna wait? It doesn't make any sense.
They lose all concept of identity.
Yeah. He should have fucking evolved into a being of light or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, if he can be everywhere at once, then what's the point of like a physical form?
Yeah, why
especially a lizard? Why are lizards especially suited to go to warp 10 to be everywhere at once? I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either.
I don't understand what Brandon Braga is trying to say here.
And we see that they're completely helpless and almost unaware of their surroundings because Chakotay finds them.
And they just pick them up and take them.
They just zap them.
They just zap them and fucking leave their children.
And very slowly zap them one by one. They go...
And they're like, oh no!
Oh no!
I'm a lizard.
Yeah, it was. They don't have any sort of defense mechanism. So basically, once we reach warp 10, we basically just become food.
Yeah, we go back to the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah, go back to the bottom of the food chain where there's some other higher creature that exists in the warp 10 space that feeds on the lizard people.
Right, we evolved to like the lowest being of the warp 10 continuum, and just like that's like where we get to start out is like fucking humans.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's trying to say.
It's just that we can't do warp 10 because of reasons.
Oh sure, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So suddenly some lizard babies pop their head out from a hole after they stun Lizard Janeway and Lizard Paris, and they run into some water.
And that's that.
That's after them. We never hear about them ever again.
Oh, well, yeah, Chakotay says, like, I decided to leave them on the planet.
Yep.
Which, why the fuck?
They're babies.
They're babies.
They're gonna die.
And also, they're an invasive species. They're not natural to this planet's development. This is entirely against
the Prime Directive. Yeah, you're totally right.
Like, you were introducing an invasive species.
I mean, they didn't, to be fair, they didn't introduce it. Paris did.
Still, you fucking take them. You're responsible for them.
True. Yeah.
Like, you take them and let the doctor turn them into humans. We have 3 now human children. Like,
that's actually a great point. I feel like, yeah, because these things potentially can be like reversed back into human form if they're, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Like, because they did a fine job with fucking Paris and Janeway.
They did perfect. They're back to normal.
Jesus Christ.
Like, they don't even try to, like, and that's the thing. If you don't even want to turn them back into humans, you're still fucking responsible for them. They're
trans warp beings. You want to take them at least for like scientific explanation.
Yeah, and just like study where we went wrong or what their utility is.
Yeah.
Or just like, you care for them because despite everything else, they're still human, technically, almost.
They're at least the progeny of human. And fucking Paris and Janeway don't care.
They don't care!
They don't give a fuck. Like, or no one tells them, hey, by the way, you have 3 kids.
Yeah, instead it's almost a joke that they slept together. They're just like, it's just like, okay, no, but you slept together and then you produced children in the matter of 3 days.
Oh God, yeah,
like,
right?
Why don't you feel no responsibility? Like, you have 3 babies on a planet that you just left there.
Yeah. So
it's like you basically just did a late term abortion.
The explanation they give is Chakotay says he doesn't know how to enter this into the log.
Yeah,
And Tuvok says, I look forward to reading it.
I look forward to reading it, yes.
So next we get another first officer's log, which is one of the most absurd things of all time. First officer's log supplemental. We've transported the captain and Mr. Paris back to sickbay. As for their offspring, I've decided to leave them in their new habitat. Okay. Well, that's great for babies.
Yeah,
especially 3-day-old babies. Mm-hmm. That's going to work real well for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, that would be interesting to revisit this planet, like, just to be like, okay, well, what did these...
I hope they do it in Prodigy. Now that they're not connected to the studio system of Paramount,
they
might be able to like revisit it and make it interesting. Threshold babies. I hope they do so much. That would rule.
I think I made the guess that what was the purple guy's name?
Because they mention them in an episode.
What was the purple guy's name?
Doll.
Doll. Yeah, I think I made the I had proposed the theory that Doll was one of the threshold babies because when they saw that they had human DNA, I was just like, oh my god, he could be a threshold baby.
He could be 100%.
But still, I think bringing back the threshold babies, giving some closure, because that's pretty fucked up what they did to them.
It's incredibly fucked up.
Like they're babies, they can't protect themselves. Like they're an invasive species on this planet. They're going to overpopulate.
Yeah.
They're just going to be
and they're going to start cannibalizing each other. Like they're going to go back to the planet. It's going to be the most barbaric society ever of just lizard people eating each other.
There's whatever species was supposed to evolve and like develop on this planet, they just like go and eat. Like there's some other like the natural species on this planet like is just
like benevolent plant beings. Oh, we are connected to all the. What are you doing? Are you eating? Oh no, this is bad.
Damn you humans! You left your threshold babies here.
So Paris and Janeway are reverted back to their human selves using the Doctor's anti-proton
with
treatments.
No consequences whatsoever.
No, it's just like not really explained.
It's like it was so difficult for the Doctor 3 days ago. Now,
but it's a bigger bursts. He's using bigger bursts, baby.
Oh, gotcha.
Bigger bursts. Gotta give him them big bursts, baby. Gotta give him a big old burst shot.
I feel like with everything that this episode covers, it probably should have been like a 2-parter.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been a 0-parter.
It should have been a 0. Yeah, I mean, we like the lizard thing is just completely out of left field, but I have to imagine like probably just like, space will be like that sometimes. Like
space do be like that.
You just be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this thing. Oh, it turns you into a lizard? Okay.
I guess so. Goddamn. Fucking space be crazy.
Space be crazy.
So Paris is extremely embarrassed about having mated with Captain Janeway, though he says he hardly remembers the whole event. Janeway accepts his apology, but admits that she might have also been active in the mating process, and says she may even have been the one who initiated it, which as someone's boss I would have never said out loud, ever, forever, never.
Yeah, and like you had 3 children. Mm-hmm. Like this isn't just like, maybe I initiated the mating. Like, yeah, you did. Like whoever
Let's hope
did,
it was consensual. Yeah,
you did, and now there's 3 children,
right?
that you are now responsible.
That you
for.
abandoned. You abandoned. You're a lizard. You literally laid 3 eggs. And they hatched.
A mammal laid eggs. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. So Janeway puts Paris in for a commendation for his achievement.
for raw dogging me on a planet as a lizard.
Raw dogging me. And to Tom Paris, you raw dog the captain is a lizard man award. It's brand new, just for you. We'll give it out every year.
The first annual Raw Dog the Captain as a Lizard Award. That's the pin that, like we were just talking about, how he wears a pin for the rest of the episode. That's the pin he wears. The first annual Raw Dog the Captain as a Lizard Award.
Yeah. So Janeway says, regardless of the outcome, you did make the first transwarp flight. Well, no, that's diminishing native voices like the Borg.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also just
the first transwarp flight. Yeah, for your species.
Yeah.
You fucking humanist.
Yeah, that's all right. You did cross the threshold. Let's never talk about it ever again, or ever try to work on it.
You ever think like humanist is like a positive term now, but the moment we discover extraterrestrial life, I feel like it'll become derogatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Be like being like white power. Or some shit.
I'm a humanist. Just humans first.
Yeah.
You don't go talking that alien language and looking like that alien. They're trash.
They do that a lot in Enterprise, where where Archer's just like, instead of thinking like a Tellurite or an Andorian, you should think like a human and be compassionate. And it's just like, so humans are the only ones capable of compassion.
Yep. According to him.
According to Archer.
He's kind of a space racist.
Space racist, yeah.
So, Paris admits he has a few more barriers to break to build his self-esteem. But Janeway believes he will eventually overcome them. The end of the episode.
Yeah, like the EMH needs to prescribe him some antidepressants or something.
Oh yeah, he needs to prescribe him getting some pussy. That ain't when you're blacked out as a lizard man.
Yeah,
because at this point he's still like, Taurus is mean. and stuff, and he doesn't get that like that's what he's into, and he wants a bad bitch to tell him what to do.
Yeah, I mean, who was he having sex with at this point? Was it just like, I mean, when did
anything on the holodeck he could?
Yeah, and they were still going to the Captain Proton
things. And the Captain Prostate.
What season did they invent Irish Town?
I don't know. That was Fairhaven's probably season 3 or 4. Or something.
Yeah, so he wasn't getting weird going to the Irish Town to sleep with all the wenches.
Yeah, just the Captain Prostate.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of this episode?
I mean, like, I mean, it's very strange. Like it's. I mean, Brandon Braga said himself, like, you know, this is not a hit. Like, I had this weird idea, it didn't pan out, and that's definitely what it feels like. There was like something that they were trying to do, like. You can't, like, they introduced like a concept that it really moves like the needle of where technology exists with the Federation up, you know, past like the point where it's like, no, because like at this point, you know, it's like TNG, DS9, Voyager, all basically technologically the same, basically. And so this is like this is like something that would take Voyager beyond. So anything that came after it would definitely have to deal with this sort of like this revelation that going past warp 10 is like is a possibility. Didn't work in this instance, like doesn't mean it can't be workshopped later.
Yeah.
And made successful. And so I feel like it's, you know, making that sort of revelation and then just like completely scrapping it also did the whole service.
So we talked a little bit about Brandon Braga and what he said about it.
Yeah.
But recently on the Voyager season 2 DVD set, not recently, in 2003, he put something else on record saying, "It's a terrible episode." People are very unforgiving about that episode. I've written well over 100 episodes of Star Trek, yet it seems to be the only episode anyone brings up, you know? Brandon Braga, who wrote Threshold, out of 100 and some episodes, you're going to have some stinkers. Unfortunately, that was a royal steaming stinker.
Oh, poor Brandon Braga. He's doing like now he's talking like Tom Paris.
Right. He's getting down on himself.
Yeah, he immediately prescribed Brandon Braga.
Homie, you dated fucking Jerry Ryan.
Damn.
Like, fucking take that W, okay, dog?
Take that W.
And
see, that's the thing. Like, yeah, he's written over 100 episodes of Star Trek, and he's like focusing on this. Like, he's just like Tom Paris. Tom Paris just discovered the threshold past warp 10, and he's still focusing on this failure that they became lizards and had sex.
Right.
And it's just like, you know, look at the positives, bro. It's like, okay.
Yeah, is Braga Tom Paris, do we think?
I think so. I think like Brandon Braga was speaking about himself through Tom Paris in this episode.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
So I think Brandon Braga needs to work on self-esteem a little bit.
Yeah. Get some of those antidepressants, you know.
Yeah.
Go to therapy. You know, men will go to past warp 10 before they go to therapy.
100%. 100%. Yeah, men will go through transwarp drive before they admit they're trans.
You'll get there, Brandon Braga.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, that's a thing. Like, I do feel like this episode could have been successful, but yeah, just you know. Yeah,
Where?
I think so.
Like, what? How? Give me the scenario how it ends. Like, the moment Paris takes off on the shuttle with Janeway, I think it goes off the fucking rails. Give me a reasonable ending once that happens.
So I'll use an example. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Sphere.
Yeah, I've seen Sphere.
So in The Sphere, they all realize that they achieve some higher state of existence.
Yeah, like some higher consciousness from being in the sphere.
Yeah, and like they're able to manipulate reality using their higher consciousness, and they weren't. But because it happened so fast, they weren't exactly aware of it.
Right.
And so, like, you know, in the spoilers for The Sphere, if you don't want to spoil for The Sphere,
that's a good movie.
Yeah, watch it. You know, I think it's like Samuel L. Jackson that suggests, like, what if we just forget? And so, like, they use their brains, they use their manipulation of reality to forget that they even have the powers, and they no longer use them. And so I think, like, it'll be sort of like almost, you know, when I think, like, even when Barclay gains that higher awareness, like, he's able to just, like, make him force himself out of it. And I think yeah, as we said, like Tom Paris should have been like some other form that is capable of communication, and like a light being,
right?
And they ask how to forget it. It's almost like also when like Riker gained the powers of the Q,
right?
Like he willingly gave them up,
right?
And I think like there should have been a scene where like Tom Paris achieves this higher state of consciousness, and then he's talked to, and then like he either forgets.
Honestly, yeah, this episode would have been more interesting if like suddenly he like entered the Q realm when he was in Warp 10 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, that's what the Q is." Because that is what the Q is.
That is. Yeah.
The Q is basically like a human who is like, with like transwarp properties.
Yeah.
Like
It's funny that Q didn't step in to stop them.
That's true. That's true.
Because
like you're not ready for this yet, or something. Or the fact that they didn't like encounter the Borg in the transwarp or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting story. Just like that they're on the Crux, like they're just doing like, as we said, like no human trials, but they're actually sending an actual ship to do it that comes back, but then like Q appears. He's like,
you can't do this,
or he appears as some sort of like immerses himself in the crew so they don't even recognize it's him, and he's sabotaging the project as it's happening to keep them from doing it, and also kind of just erasing their memories. And then
that's kind of an interesting idea.
That's where like the conflict comes from, is they're trying to figure out why things are going wrong when they seemingly shouldn't, and it's actually Q, keeping them from moving too quickly,
right?
Because that's a whole point why TNG starts, is like Q feels like humans are moving too fast,
right? Exactly.
And this is the discovery of the past Warp 10 is definitely like a sign where clearly they enter some higher form of like existence, and Q, or the Q would be like, nah, dog, you can't do that. So yeah, I think that's probably a much better way to handle this concept than lizard people. lizard people. Just lizards. We're gonna become lizards that are just living like weird freaks on a beach. Like, why does that make sense? Yeah, like it would make sense that there would be some higher intervention to curb the humans like in that point. But yeah, just like Tom realizing that he's become a megalomaniac, and and that he should just like step down and
step back.
Yeah,
there were things they could do with this episode. Like ultimately, I feel it like completely falls off the rails at that point, and they could have really revived it by making it about something else, maybe bringing in Q or the Borg or something like that.
And also like ultimately like Star Trek isn't just like the techno shit. It's like also like the human shit.
Right.
And clearly this is like an episode about Tom's own perception of himself and his own self-worth. And so it should have been about that.
Right, exactly. And in the end, it's not really.
No, it's not.
He's like, I still got some things to do to work on my self-esteem, and fucking Janeway's like, "Yep, Buck, you sure do."
Yep, see you later.
Yep,
he doesn't come to any sort of like revelation about himself, or just like have any sort of like contention with himself.
We'll always have Paris.
We'll always have Paris. Yeah, he's just like, all right, well, that's I guess that's another way it's not successful. Is like, it just drops the whole human story of just like of like,
it drops the human story and the lizard story
and the lizard story and the science story. It all falls apart.
No, and I think maybe the real crime here is like they completely ignore this episode for the rest of Voyager.
Yeah,
it's never referenced again in any way whatsoever.
Except I guess in like Lower Decks and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. In Lower Decks and then in Prodigy. They mention it briefly, but like that's it. That's it. And it's played for gags.
For gags, which is also probably just sending daggers into Brandon Braga's heart.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It could have been executed way differently. I mean, with a more traditional like Star Trek approach. Just like talking. This more of an exploration of humanity and stuff like that.
Yeah, an exploration of ourselves.
Yeah, instead of just like, what if we became lizards if we went too fast?
Yeah, the whole episode, not good.
Yeah.
In fact, it's very bad. Like,
it's fun to watch, though.
Yeah, it is fun to watch, and I will say it is my most rewatched episode of Voyager.
Oh, yeah?
Straight up.
Yeah.
I've watched this episode, like, I think I checked on my Plex since I've had it 5 times.
Damn.
Which I've only had this rip for, like, 2 years. Like, I watch it pretty often. It's one of those things I fall asleep to because I know it, like, beat for beat, and it's stupid as fuck.
It is stupid as fuck.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of what I love about Voyager, and at the same time, it's everything I hate about Voyager.
Yeah.
Like continuity and, like, recurring storylines and real consequences or impact for actions.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
the
like,
opposite of DS9.
Yeah, the opposite of DS9. Yeah, because like
if this happened in DS9, you bet all 3 fucking lizard children would be regular cast members from now on.
Yeah. They would have to have like a school on the ship.
Yeah, just for lizard children to try to like rehabilitate.
Oh, that would have been awesome too, especially for the Voyager episode where it goes forward in time to show how like it became like a generational ship and and then Naomi Wildman and stuff like that. So it would have had Naomi Wildman, what's his face, and the 3 lizard children. That could have been fun.
That would have been sick as fuck.
They're all grown up.
Yeah.
But also
lizard,
like they
lizard
would
men and women.
Yeah. Who knows?
One trans lizard.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Big lizard girl dick. It was so sick.
Yeah, that would have been that because if they actually brought them back, that would have been fun to have like they would have turned them back and they would turn them into humans, but they could have had like other episodes where like they have like some sort of like weird latent abilities because they're naturally born lizard children.
Right. They can see in like warp 10 or some shit.
Yeah. Do something with them. Like who knows?
Because you figure like if they're warp 10 beings and that's how they evolved to deal with warp 10, like they should have some higher consciousness to deal with warp 10, right?
Yeah.
And so like the fact they're not studying these things is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because it would help them understand warp 10 more and like its effects on the human body.
You have to look at it. Chakotay was in charge at that point.
That's true. Chakotay was in charge.
Chakotay is a fucking idiot.
And Chakotay is the dumbest man on board the entire Enterprise, straight up.
Yeah, so they should have had a scene where they like Janeway's just like, what happened to the kids? I left them there. You left them on the planet? Why? I don't know.
My people have a saying. Fuck. Fuck them kids?
Fuck them kids? Yeah. Good for them.
My people have a saying. I ain't paying no child support. Damn, Chakotay, you cold.
You are not the father.
Yeah, so that's
Threshold.
That's Threshold.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, recommended, but not. I don't know. I don't even know how to feel about this episode or how to talk about it because, like, it's something I watch a lot because I love corny, bad shit.
Yeah.
But it's like corny and bad and shit.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you don't like corny, bad shit, don't watch it. But if you're into it, do.
Yeah, because this is kind of like, the Voyager had like a couple, like a rocky couple first seasons. And
I mean, all Star Trek does.
Yeah, all Star Trek does, except for Lower Decks, which has been consistently good, I think, and also Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks first season is not great.
Yeah, it's passable, but Strange New Worlds, I think, has had 2 good, strong seasons. But,
it has, yeah.
But like, but yeah, like they had a couple rocky seasons. So this is really before like Voyager really hits its stride and gets good. So.
Yep.
Like
that's the next season with the Borg and Species 8274.
Yeah, and so they're kind of like taking scripts from TNG and other ones. So this is you have another de-evolution script, but they did what they could.
Yeah, if you actually are interested in like de-evolution and stuff, just go listen to Devo instead.
Yeah,
it's better,
exactly.
Funnier, cornier. Yeah. It's Ohio music.
Yeah, it's Ohio music.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, I think that's a great place for us to leave it.
Yeah, go watch Threshold.
Thanks for hanging with us, Voyagers. Be well, travel safe, and maybe don't watch Threshold.
Watch Threshold. I'm in the camp of watch Threshold.
Well, okay, at least one of us is.
All right, well, thanks for checking with the Soy Boys, Girls, and Unwieldy Beans.
Hang dong and shocker.
Soy Soy, 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 soy. Soy, 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 soy. Soy, 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 soy. Soy, 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 soy.
Everyone underground doesn't see it. Everyone underground will become it. Everyone's underground. Everyone underground will become it. Everyone underground doesn't know it. Everyone underground got the titties. They got them motherfucking titties. Everyone underground got them titties, those big old motherfucking milkers, those big old mommy motherfucking mothers. Gonna stick them in my mouth, them titties. Gonna stick them in my mouth, them little bitties. Gonna stick them in my mouth, those motherfucking titties. Gonna stick them in my mouth. I want your titties in my mouth, girl. I want them in my mouth more than the whole wide world. I want your titties everywhere, on the table, on my fucking stairs. Girl, I want your titties on my fucking chair. I don't care if they have hair. I'm gonna stick your titties on my fucking dick. Stick your fucking titties on my fucking dick. Make me sick.